Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. And as always, we have a lot to get into. And if you are new to this channel and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button, because I drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. And that's exactly what we intend to do in this video. We're going to be starting things off with a digital asset fund flow report that was published yesterday. So CoinShares have actually started publishing their report on the Sunday, having looked at the prior week rather than the Monday. So we do now have CoinShares' report that came out yesterday. And the interesting thing with this report is it tracks digital asset products. So not the cryptocurrencies themselves, but more of an institutional vehicle to buy cryptocurrencies. And if you look at what happened last week and what's been happening over the past sort of 4 weeks, 5 weeks now, we've seen consecutive inflows. And I think certainly if you look at what took place last week, it's very contrary to the fact that institutions are buying when we see the kind of retail sentiment that we do in regards to the cryptocurrency space. And this is why we're technical traders, because sentiment will not reflect what smart money and big players are doing. So we're going to be starting the video off there. I think that's an interesting place to start things off. I'll be talking about why Bitcoin has already won and is set to continue to win. We'll be talking about the kind of macro picture, what took place Friday, why the market sold off. The dollar kind of opened up strong out of the gates. Right now, markets are experiencing a little bit of turbulence on the back end of the non-farm payroll number, pricing out rate cuts for this year, or sort of postponing them, I should say, and also the unemployment level, which is typically quite bad for the markets, certainly the equity risk market. So we'll talk about that. It's a big week ahead. We've got the likes of CPIs for the US, PPIs. We've also got a rate decision. They're going to give some sort of further guidance, I guess, after the rate decision in regards to the meeting. We'll also look at Bitcoin on the short term. Not bearish on Bitcoin whatsoever. And after every halvening, there's a period of sideways action. And this one is no different. And if there was anything, I think you need to worry when things happen out of the ordinary. And we're not seeing that just yet. And then we're going to be talking, of course, about the rumors that BlackRock is all set to apply for a SOL ETF next month. And of course, this is backed up by Franklin Templeton's CEO, talking about new crypto fund investing in tokens beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum based on a report. And then we'll look at a comment from David Hunter. So a lot to get into, as always. As promised, let's start things off with the CoinShares Digital Asset Report. I like to keep an eye on this every single week. I like to give it a quick read. Because it gives an idea of what perhaps more institutional clients are doing. So who uses the sort of funds that are out there? It's more institution, because retail will typically buy through Coinbase, which is a stock, we've been buying since the 30, 40 sort of dollar range. It's now 200 and something, and we think it's going to the 400 plus range. But we saw $2 billion in inflows in the first week of June in anticipation of rate cuts. Yeah, maybe. I think risk doing very well generally. Again, we brought up Stan Druckenmiller, who moved from a Mag 7 stock down to the IWM, which is the Russell 2000. Again, in anticipation of rate cuts and the environment that we're going into, which is going to see altcoins do well. Remember, Nvidia's that kind of barometer for Bitcoin. Not Mag 7, IWM, Russell 2000s, like an altcoin basket. And they look to be in a similar sort of position. So digital asset investment products saw inflows totaling $2 billion, bringing this recent 5-week run of inflows to $4.3 billion. Trading volume in ETPs, which stands for exchange traded products for anybody that's unfamiliar, rose to $12 billion for the week. 55% up from the week prior. Bitcoin was again the primary focus, seeing $1.9 billion in inflows for the week, obviously with the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Ethereum saw the best week of inflows since March, totaling $69 million, likely in reaction to the surprise SEC decision to allow a spot-based ETF. You can see some of the products. If we scroll down a little bit, it talks about Bitcoin being the primary performer and focus. And then it said Ethereum saw its best week of inflow since March, totaling $69 million. Likely in reaction to we've read that. Altcoins saw minor activity, with Phantom, surprisingly, and XRP standing out, seeing inflows totaling upwards of $1 million. So the US is the largest participant of this, with out of the two billion, 1.9 coming from the US alone. The reason I bring this up is because who's using these ETPs? It's not retail, it's institutional. And if you look at the sentiment that has currently been plaguing the cryptocurrency space over the past couple of weeks, it's been pretty diabolical. Certainly given what we saw happen on Friday, we'll talk about that in the macro situation and how that's affected people's views on things. This is why we like to give our sort of bigger time frame views on things, because it helps quieten down that noise. Crypto investing is not as easy as people make it out to be, in the sense that it's very volatile, and you're for a lot of people, they're investing in crypto because they think it's going to change their life, and it will for many people out there. I truly believe that. It's done it for me, and I think it offers that opportunity for you guys out there if you're in the right coins at the right time, which we believe is now. But because when things don't, perhaps like what we saw on Friday, there's a real emotional negativity that comes out of people, and it kind of manifests into a very dark time, I think, for a lot of people. And this is the hard part of being a crypto investor. And this is why we try and impress the macro picture and have a well thought out one, so that we can kind of go back to that. If you guys haven't considered becoming a Patreon yet, do consider becoming one. We do a Sunday meeting, we do a Wednesday ad hoc meeting, and of course, we've got a Discord full of brilliant minds, all working towards the same goal. You know, we really on Sunday, just like we do in these daily market updates, but really go into a lot more detail and cover some interesting sort of relating factors. We really break down the big picture, and the big picture is nothing short of a bullish one. We don't stand anything to gain. We're bearish when it's time to be bearish. We back in 2022, as a channel called Allincrypto came out and said we're out the markets. We're still interested in them. We're waiting for that opportunity to reaccumulate, but we're out of the markets. We're bullish because when something walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And it's very interesting that we see institutions actually buying Bitcoin and crypto more broadly through the ETPs, whilst retail is largely sort of licking their wounds, I guess, in regards to the recent price action. And in an uptrend, you are going to have pullbacks. In fact, Total 2 is literally one of our favorite charts. This right shoulder was still waiting to form. We'll talk about Bitcoin on the smaller time frames in just a second, but we've got quite a lot to get into, so let's continue. Bitcoin has largely already won. If they were going to stop Bitcoin, and I always get the comments, oh, you can't stop Bitcoin. Listen, if the US government, and they banned things like gold, decided to make it illegal due to stability issues, Bitcoin, how do you think its price would do in that circumstance? You know, doesn't mean that they can stop everybody from using it. I mean, look at the absolute failure in regards to the war on drugs, which makes no sense to anybody. But that is an entirely different story and rant that I can really go into. People could still use it, but they could do a lot of damage to it. But if you look at Bitcoin, it now has a larger market cap than the top 3 banks in the world combined. Bitcoin is already won, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to continue to win. My only sort of worry is what I think Bitcoin is a sheepdog that's herding the sheep into this idea of digital global currencies. It's too good to be true, a lot of the things. That's just my own take. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You know, happy to have that debate with people, because there's a lot of things that Bitcoin maxis just blindly, you know, they're like Joe Biden at a whatever on stage, you know, they're just kind of blindly looking, you know, following whatever. Anyway, so Bitcoin really has already won. Let's talk a little bit about the macro, what's going on right now. Market's down again, opening. And this is from, I think this came out today. So investors brace for the Fed to dial back its 2024 rate cut prediction. This is keeping yields elevated, which is keeping the dollar elevated, which of course is leaning on risk. And we've got a very interesting week ahead of us, in the sense that today we haven't got a great deal. Tomorrow, also not that much going on other than a small business index. And then, of course, the 12th, which is Wednesday, is going to be the interesting one, with CPIs coming out and the Fed fund rate decision, FOMC predictions. We're going to get a lot more clarity on things. I think there's going to be turbulence, like we said yesterday, in regards to going into that. Also, we have PPIs. We've got lots of Fed speakers coming out. I think we've got UK GDPs. We've got a number of things taking place this week, which is all going to sort of impact and affect the markets. All that being said, I'm not bearish on Bitcoin here one bit, guys. Not just based on fundamentally what we've looked at in regards to institutions actually gobbling up crypto during this time period when retail is largely sort of worried, very anxious, very nervous, but it's because they don't have that bigger sort of view on things. This is the path that Bitcoin is on. Okay, we think it's going to 151,000. I think it's going to go and be above and beyond that. If you look at every, just to sort of go and put a real macro perspective on things, after every halving, whatever you want to call it, I really couldn't care. There's a period of, sideways action. We're doing nothing out of the ordinary today, ladies and gentlemen, and it won't take long before it turns around. And saying all that, on the shorter time frames, we have highlighted this pattern. We're going to continue to highlight it. I do think very flag-esque, very pullback-esque. Remember, institutions, according to this, remember there's always sources other than the rumors about the Solana ETF and BlackRock preparing for that. I don't know where they got that source from, but we're going to look at it all the same. We know it will come. Whether it's next month or not is another story. Institutions have been accumulating for this time period, and they're ready to send Bitcoin to 91,000. Altcoins in that time are going to really outperform and outshine. An interesting, the Bitcoin dominance is going to be key for altcoins. There's a lot of things that we've got to equate into that. We'll do more and maybe a separate video on that. But I'm bullish on Bitcoin on the short term. I really am. I think this is going to result in upside continuation. I think you're looking at a run to 91K. And I think there's just, maybe a trigger for that is the economic data that we've got coming out this week. But just stick to the plan, hang in there. We're seeing some setups on altcoins. The dollar being rather strong today, hot out the gates. We'll see what happens with the dollar. The dollar rolling is pivotal. Rates coming down is pivotal. Yields coming down, etc., etc. David Hunter, who we think got things wrong in 2022 when we were out the market, I ultimately think he's going to be right. All credit. Listen, we get things wrong all the time. He's actually been largely more right than he has wrong, which, credit where it's due always. So there's a lot of nervous investors all of a sudden. I'm seeing a lot of bearish talk this weekend. On the other hand, I'm as bullish as ever. Bullish on equity market, bullish on bond market, bullish on metals and miners. These markets are all poised for higher, not lower. And he might as well, I don't know why he's decided not to take a stance on some of the older guys. They're like, refuse to deal with crypto. But what they should understand is that it's just a higher beta play on the risk markets, which he outlined. He's bullish on there more generally, and it's going to outperform them. We've done a lot of work on Bitcoin against gold, Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, Bitcoin against the SPY, so on and so forth. So the last little thing that I want to cover with everyone is to do with some rumors in regards to BlackRock all set to apply for a SOL ETF next month. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen next month, but it will happen. And we have continued to say, if you look at Solana is absolutely institutionalized in regards to it's a favorite of theirs. Some shenanigans with Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole FTX thing, whatever. But Solana's next up after Ethereum, and I say this because if you look at all the people that offer exchange traded products, Solana is always number 3 in regards to the baskets, in regards to holdings, whatever it may be, in regards to inflows, going back to coin shares. I don't think did we see Solana inflows? Yeah, we did. Solana being one of the biggest benefits other than Litecoin and others. Obviously, they highlighted XRP and a number of others. But you are going to get a Solana ETF. This is from Franklin Templeton Way's new crypto fund investing in tokens beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. Report shows the fund would target institutional investors. According to report, the asset manager already has a spot Bitcoin ETF and has applied for a similar offer. It goes on to talk about how they're going to allow for other things. They're obviously, good friends with XLM. These guys, I think they work together. We have looked at, and we're going to do it once more for you because it helps us paint that bullish picture. 21 shares is crypto index fund. When it walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's largely retail that's worried during this. We know that institutions are buying based on CoinShares' report. We're not seeing outflows. We're actually seeing a decrease in the Bitcoin short products. Hang in there. Don't be on the side of dumb money that listens to news and ultimately makes their investment decisions as a result of it. Understand technical analysis, understand what, and really what you're trying to do with technical analysis, understand what the bigger players are doing, spot their footprints in the sand, be on the right side of the markets, and you're going to have a far easier time. So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm wishing you all a happy Monday. If you've enjoyed the content, as always, a like is appreciated, so is a comment, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks all for watching. See you in the next.